Hello, everybody, and welcome to Diamonds in the Rough. I'm your host, Siddharth, and for today's guest, we have someone very special, very talented. We have Dalynn Miller. How are you?
Hi, I'm really good. You know, just having a fun Saturday and get to talk to new people. So it's always a win in my
I
book.
mean, yeah, 100%. That is always a win. And it's yeah, like you said, it's Saturday. We got long weekend. We have Super Bowl coming up. Do you have any team you're going for the Super Bowl?
I'm going to be totally honest. I didn't know that the Super Bowl was happening until one of my teachers asked us about it. So
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
pretty
not.
disconnected from that.
I'm not much of a Super Bowl fan either, so I don't really care, to be honest. So just for the people listening, a background on Dalynn. She's a musical artist. She's a vocalist. She's extremely talented. I'll put her links in the description so you guys can check it out. She has over 1 million views on Spotify. So now that I mean that's self-explanatory of how good she is. So yeah. So Dalynn, obviously you're for music, your career, like you have like distinguishable how would I say it? Like distinguishable achievements. So, how were you introduced to music? Like at what age and how? Like who got you into it?
Well, obviously, like many people, I consumed music a lot as a child. And like many people, I was forced to take piano lessons as a kid, and I absolutely I enjoyed playing my little chords on the piano, but I never really got past for Elise, if you know what I mean. So that was probably my first musical introduction, and I wrote my first song, I think when I was like 8 years old maybe, and it was really bad. Like, it was just me playing chords on the piano and, like, singing about this, like, fake relationship because you don't know anything when you're 8 years old.
Yeah.
But, that was probably my start, and I just kind of wrote, like, about my life and about things that weren't in my life ever since. So
I think that's great. Music usually comes from music can come from any inspiration, and for you, you're writing about your life, and I think that's great. I think that's also like I think for me, music is sort of a therapy, whether it's listening or making music. I think it's always something that helps people, and so obviously right now with COVID, I think anxiety and depression is on a rise. People are like being isolated at home. Even I think what a misconception is that even if you have a family, even if you have siblings, I think it's still you can still get pretty lonely and still get pretty anxious. So has music helped you in COVID?
oh, yeah, definitely. I think this isn't even exclusive to COVID, but throughout my life, and the way that you're saying, like, I think music is very therapeutic. And I think listening to and consuming music that I feel like accurately describes where I'm at in my life, it kind of reminds me that, like, the world is a lot bigger than I am, and that really being a human is a very universal experience, and that a lot of us, like, are in the same boat and we go through the same things. I was talking about this with a friend recently, but I do think that in COVID, music has been something that's very grounding to me. And at the beginning, I had a lot of writer's block because I felt like nothing, absolutely nothing was going on in my life. And I was like, well, I'm home all day. Like, I have nothing to write about. But I think at the end of the day, like, music makes me feel like productive and connected to the world in a time where I think it's very difficult to feel that way. So for me,
Exactly. Yeah.
definitely therapeutic.
That's a great point, and I think what you're doing is great because like regardless of COVID, I think I think music is helpful. So like I said at the beginning, you have over 1 million views on Spotify. I'm pretty that I mean that's probably an amazing feeling for you. Um, when you realize that your career is taking off, did you get any hate or yeah, just pretty much any hate or
Well, it's kind of interesting because I I'm sure I did, but nobody will say that to me. And
oh
so
okay, so it
I
might have been behind your back if you
like
if
maybe, but I think I will say that like the people in my life, at least the people who matter, have always been like really supportive. Obviously, there's people on the internet who will, say their thing and be a little mean with it, but I usually don't really like pay attention to that kind of thing. And it's not because I think that like their criticisms aren't valid, but it's just because with music, it's so personal that really you can't please everyone and not everyone's going to like what you make. And what matters to me is that like even like one person like feels less alone because I put out a song, or and I get messages like that, and then it doesn't really matter to me if my music wasn't someone's cup of tea, if it could help someone else.
Yeah, I think that's very true. You know, I mean, it may not please one person, but if it pleases another person, then I think that's all that matters. Because yeah, like I've listened to your music. I think it is very like personal, and it's great. Do you have any like specific goals you want to reach, like aspirations? Like, do you want to become a music artist when you grow up, or like, do you have any goals you have to want to reach?
Well, that's something I think about a lot too. I don't know exactly how my music career changes because I'm going to college next year. I'm a senior in high school. If the listeners didn't know, but I'm a senior in high school, and so I think about this a lot. I think that for me, a big goal has always been like to just play a concert. Like I think that would be really, really cool, and to like have people show up because they want to hear me play. Like that in my mind is like super, super mind-boggling. And because I really think that the reason I make music is like for the people and like for the connections and like for that kind of thing because I love people. And so I think that being able to physically be with the people who listen to me, because you can read the numbers on the screen, you can be like, oh, like my song's been played like a million times, like that's cool. But like you can't really think about like a million people, like you can't
Exactly.
really
Yeah.
imagine that. And so I think seeing that tangibly in person would definitely be a big career goal.
Yeah, I mean, because I've seen concerts for like rappers and stuff, and I mean that's like extremely surreal. I can kind of like imagine myself in this position. Like that would be such a surreal moment. That would be such like a, I wouldn't say like liberating, but like at the same time, kind of. It's kind of like wow, like you
Right.
really made it. But I mean, yeah, like you said, like just you can just read the numbers on the screen, and you never really know how much 1 million, like how many, like how much that is. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great goal. And just like last like serious question, do you have any advice for anyone, whether it's like actual like just like singing advice or just like advice for anyone starting in this music industry because it's a pretty competitive and like huge platform.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me personally, I get in my head a lot and I try really hard to make things really perfect. And I think I hold myself to really high standards. And because of that, I feel like I haven't been able to put out as much as I wanted to. And I'm kind of moving away from that and realizing like you have to realize everything you make isn't going to be perfect, but you should still make it because it's you. And I think I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, but I really think that just focus on like creating and like be kind to yourself, and like even if something isn't great and even if it's not the best thing you've ever made, you can still be proud that you have accomplished something. And I think that just being an artist is something that's a little bit scary because you're being vulnerable with the world. But I also think that you should remember that like you are doing good work, and like even if it's not the gratifying, even if you don't get the million streams, like you should put things out because you love it and because you think it represents you and you're sharing that with the world. So,
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think that's like I said. I mean, I say this a lot. That's great advice. Like pretty much everything you summed it up. I mean, that's I think that applies to anyone putting their
don't be afraid.
work out.
It
Exactly. Yeah. Especially right now. I mean, like, what have you got to lose? I heard this a lot for a lot of people. Like, if one of my friends, they're like, yeah, I don't care. No one's gonna see it. Like, I don't have to show my face to school anyways. So, a lot of
has
my friends are trying something new.
Yeah, I think that that's something that's really interesting with COVID. It's like now, I mean, obviously, I put out music before COVID, so I was just like, if everyone hates it and makes fun of me, everyone hates it and makes fun of me, and but at least I made something I'm proud of. But there's never been a better time to be an artist in the way that you will not face societal repercussions if you are bad.
Exactly. And I think that's one of
So
like the main things that hinders people from, like showing themselves or trying something new is that, well, what are all my friends gonna say? What if I get bullied at school? I think now it's the perfect time. Just go for it. There's
Yeah.
nothing like worse that's gonna happen is someone might like I don't know, like text you something. I don't know. Probably not. I
Yeah,
mean,
but the thing is, nobody ever like does it. First of all, if they're going to trash talk you, it's gonna be behind their back, behind your
exactly. Then
probably.
you don't have to deal with
You
it
don't
then.
have to know about it. Like it's fine.
I think yeah, I think it's COVID right now. I think you should just try whatever you want, whether it's music or just anything. Okay,
Yeah,
last
totally.
question. Do you have a favorite like music artist?
Do I have a favorite music artist? It definitely changes. A big inspiration for me, like growing up, has definitely been Lorde. I think her album Melodrama is like the perfect body of work. And I don't know, I did my 10th grade Catalyst for Change speech on her, but she's really incredible in the way that like she came up into the industry when she was like 16 years old, and she like wrote all her own music. She like wrote all her own music and worked closely with this producer. And I just think it's so admirable, not only that people can be so accomplished so young, but that they see the world and like can convey the way they see they were the world, like, and articulate that so beautifully. And I think that Lorde does that, and she has that feeling of the universal human experience, but it's also personal. It's so weird, but it's so
It's
great. And
great. I mean, I'm not. I haven't listened to too much Lord, but I mean, yeah, I can tell what you're trying to say. I mean, I think like it's like some people have a lot of ideas in their head, but it's hard to convey it in the right way. So like, yeah, I mean, I think if you that's great. So I mean, we've come to an end. So I'm gonna be putting a segment for Dalen's song "It Rains in New NYC." Yeah, I'll be putting a 10-second snippet right here.
Immortalized in my brain, I'm stuck living in my head, 'cause it's clear the city makes me numb and nobody's sincere. Sometimes I wish I'd never come.
All right. So thank you for coming on the podcast, Dalyn. I really enjoyed it.
thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had a lot of fun, and I think it's great what you do. And I think that anyone wanting to try something new, like take Dalyn's advice and go for it. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Like I said, thank you, and yeah, stay tuned, guys.